He covers a lot of Motown tunes and stuff. It's pretty interesting.
You know what? I'll tell you a little nugget from the interview. He absolutely says that he is mostly the influence of Top 40 radio.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't on Top 40 radio, he didn't know anything about it in the 60s.
Yeah.
Which means, sadly, Cousin Brucey and Dan Ingram affected him a
lot. I would say that Bob Seger would say that he was a child of CKLW. Bob Seger would
Not
say
the same
that.
thing. He's Bruce Springsteen, Bob Seger.
Okay. They were contemporaries, you dumb fuck.
No, but you know what he said? He said, of course, he had. How did he learn to be such a great guitar? How did you do it? Obviously he did 10,000 hours.
Yeah,
but that he, he would get they obviously would have every record, buy all the records, the 45s, and he'd slow it down to 33.
That makes sense.
And he said by doing that, it was much easier to pull apart the chords and the guitar riffs that were in music, and that's how he learned. It's pretty unbelievable, actually.
Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam says he learned how to play the bass by taking the Ramones records, and he would take the left-right balance, put it over into one side, and you could just hear the bass.
Whatever.
And that's how he learned how to
you know what? Whatever works for you.
Exactly.
Whatever. Obviously, we haven't had anybody yet say that they became a great guitarist by answering that ad at the back of the comic books. Okay.
But there have been some people who have been great guitarists by watching YouTube.
That just didn't seem to get it done.
It didn't seem for whatever reason.
There it is. New eulogy for Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield, the new quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, you mean?
You never know.
You never know.
You just never know. 2 words, Earl Morrall.
Well, that would mean that Baker Mayfield, after everything, will be going to the playoffs.
Yeah. In the words of Larry Glick, let me check here.
Now, the entire country, late yesterday afternoon, did get to see the Las Vegas Raiders not choke.
I did see it.
I was happy to see in a one-score game they saw the Las Vegas Raiders not blow it in the final minute.
They look fine. They look just fine. Yeah. I mean, because I don't have to tell you how just pathetic they were in those games where they fell apart, and now suddenly, the
turnaround is going to be playing that team that got killed by the Dallas Cowboys last night.
Are they mathematically in still? Possibly.
The Raiders are still in. I mean, if they win on Thursday against the Rams, they're 6-7, which is exactly where they were last year, needing to win 4 straight to make the playoffs.
Yeah. All right,
I'm ready.
Here we go. Okay. It is the Brad and Britt cast. It's our first one for this week. And wow, a lot of buildup from the last 3 days, not unlike the buildup in my nose that I took care of before we started.
It's a triple demic, It's no joke. Did you get a flu shot? Did you finally get a flu shot?
What do you mean finally? I got one when I got the last
with the COVID. Yeah.
Updated on the COVID thing.
Same here. I think it was September. I got one arm, the other arm, and I was fine. Good to go.
And by the way, it's a personal decision. And I don't appreciate you asking about it. Kind of just get away from me.
Get away.
All right. Here are the topics for this day, and they're all great. Trump versus Twitter versus the United States.
Ooh.
Why read the Constitution? The night the lights went out in Moore County.
Wow.
You see, that was a song.
Yeah, see.
back there by Vicky Lawrence. It was a big hit.
It's the night an innocent man was killed, died, and all that shit.
What are you running for, Herschel? Planet Earth versus Ticketmaster, and the end of airplane mode on your phone.
Interesting. Let's go straight for the Moore County situation because it is the hot topic in these parts where the lights were literally shot out on Saturday night in a couple of substations and in some areas of Moore County. Many of you nationally, if you're listening outside of North Carolina, will know it better for being the Southern Pines Pinehurst area, which has hosted the U.S. Open golf tournament a couple of times. And there are rumors that have not been confirmed yet by various law enforcement that hate groups may have been involved in this, Brad.
Well, it's a national story, Britt. It's not, this isn't one of those, we're just talking about something nobody knows about. This is top news everywhere. We have a right-wing activist investigated over a social media post that she put up claiming she knows what happened. Her name is Emily Grace Rainey. She's a former U.S. Army psych op officer, and she posted, and by the way, it's always smart, always the first thing that you think of that's going to help your life and your cause, to go on social media after something like this happens in order to draw attention to yourself. She posted that the outages that left tens of thousands of people without power, still at this moment, still tens of thousands of people without power. But Moore County Sheriff Ronnie Fields told WRAL television that he prayed with her and determined that her claims were not credible. Hold it. Wait a minute. What? He prayed. What?
It helps.
Yes, we had to go and interview this young lady and have a word of prayer with her, but it turned out to be nothing, said Sheriff Fields. Congratulations, Sheriff Fields. Way to play into the dumbest, fucked up, Southern, stupid stereotype that could possibly, you can't make one up like this. You have somebody who's posting on social media right after a terrorist attack. What was there, laying on of hands? Did you bring her Biscuitville?
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
Well, no, it's Chick-fil-A, you dumb shit. That's Jesus's biscuit.
The sheriff asked the public not to post false or unverified claims about the outage, which of course, and by the way, I've always wondered, when you drive by these gigantic power stations, not the ones that are, in a city, sometimes in your neighborhood, and they just have a fence up there and everything is wide open. I've always wondered about the security.
It may go into a larger question about it may go into a larger question about our power grid in general, Brad.
Well, I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to say, Britt, do we need to have 500 members of the military surrounding every power station in America to make sure this doesn't happen again? You can't do that.
If you want to knock out the power to the United States and what you need to do is scale a fence. Putin, China, can you scale a fence? I think that's part of the problem, Brad. I really do.
That is the point. My first thought was that this was a dress rehearsal for something bigger.
If these right-wing dipshits can do it, then obviously a foreign terrorist group would be able to do it as well. Of course, they're going to do it through computers and such. But yes, if anyone can scale a fence or shoot and put out a power, we may have a security problem with the power grid. Possibly.
Well,
including some bumblefucks in Moore County.
But there's two different kinds of security problems here. One is cyber security, and the other one is standard physical security. Because as always, after something like this happens, everybody goes, well, they should have known better. We're going to have to make sure this never happens. You can't do it. You can't protect every school, every church, every theater, every stadium, every power. Even that's every inch. You want a police state? You got it. and that's not going to happen. So
But
that's not the issue.
perhaps
That's not
something
the
better, perhaps something better than a 6-foot fence and a lock that you can buy at Ace
Oh,
Hardware
oh,
might be
do
a
we need
better
25 feet of concrete walls that are
saying.
3 feet thick? No, Britt, that's not the point.
I'm just saying. Again, a
I know you're just
6-foot
saying.
fence. I've got better protection with the fence around my house, really, than those people do around a power grid that affects tens of thousands of people.
I don't think that's true. I think your house is less protected than that power station was. It does. They all have high fences around them and millions of signs. And
nonetheless,
and
the rumor that is going around is that this was in response to a drag show at a local theater in Southern Pines that had offended. That's what's being said. And again, no one has confirmed this. That some people were very offended that a drag show was taking place at a theater in Southern Pines, and that is why the lights were turned out.
Yeah, let's see if we can follow that brilliant logic line. I hate transsexuals. I hate drag. I hate the public display of anything about that. So I'm going to cause 100,000 people to lose their electricity. Yeah. I'm having trouble finding how that's going to change anything.
So you're saying this may not have been thought through by the right-wing idiots in Moore County, allegedly.
Well, I'm not sure I even buy the drag show.
You don't think that is a legitimate explanation for why these assholes did what they did? You don't think that these assholes would have been offended? You don't think that these assholes, after all of the stuff that you've seen in Texas about people going nuts, there is a bill in Texas, and you may have heard this or you may not, that would make it illegal for you in any art form, play, musical, anything else, to portray yourself as something other than the gender you were born to. That is an actual bill in the Texas legislature right now, Brad.
I'm not arguing with that reality. But what I am arguing, and this is sad, wouldn't you go use your gun on the perpetrators instead of innocent people who are at the other end of the electrical lines, killing people who may need life-saving medical? If it doesn't make any sense, I'm not buying the drag thing. I'm not going there.
All right, we'll let the investigation go forward. But if you're wrong about this, you will bigly, as one dead talk show host once said, say that you were wrong.
I will. If a bunch of guys who hate drag queens are found to have done what they did because of that, I will apologize to you and finally send you the money that I actually owe you from the bet that you won in Las Vegas that I made for you, that you've conveniently forgotten about the money. And as far as I'm concerned, once 30 days goes by, you've already lost that money, but I may decide to restore it and actually send it to you.
Isn't it $12? Aren't we talking about $12?
No, I think it's like 34.
Yeah, but the original risk of the money was yours. You outlaid the original $20 for the bet, right?
Oh, that's right. You owe me money. All right. Well,
so the FBI, the SBI, and various local people, they're all down in Moore County, and they're investigating.
I think this was a test run.
Okay.
Not unlike what January 6th may look like.
Yeah.
If something else happens, you try it. You try it in Little Moore County, North Carolina.
Interesting.
The next thing you know, you could be moving up in the world.
But as it turns out, we have no right to make fun of Alabama, Mississippi, Idaho, Arizona.
No, not if the sheriff went there and prayed with the
we got nothing.
Social media person.
We got zero. We got fuck all as far as like putting down South Carolina or anybody else.
Although, since Herschel Walker is still in the news here for the next 24 to 36 hours, and I hope that's the end. And by the way, my first thought over the weekend, when they set the Final Four for the College Football Championship Series, was, God help us if Herschel Walker were to win on Tuesday. what would happen at the game, the semifinal game, Georgia versus Ohio State
I don't want
in
to go there.
Atlanta.
I don't want to go there. I
And
don't want to go there.
Britt, the thought of that,
I don't want to go there.
I'm going out right now and buying a bunch of razor blades in case I need to use them on myself. That this guy would be celebrated there as, the ultimate Georgia football hero.
Let's go with
it. Oh my God. I can't handle
you
it.
banish that. Let's go with our original thought that this is going to be a blowout. He's going to lose by 20 points, 30 points. He'll be done. He'll take his ass back to Texas and he'll go and try to find out where the abortion clinics are still open. Well, he can't live in Texas because there are no abortion clinics there anymore, right? Have they closed them all down? He's going to have to move from Texas. John the Catholic saying that a word of prayer, as in what the sheriff had with Amy Sue Bessenbopper or whatever it was, is a Southern colloquialism for a stern talk. That's the old come to Jesus meeting that you may have heard of. That's the old come to Jesus meeting.
You think so?
That's what he's offering up there.
Maybe John the Catholic knows because he's been visited a time or two in his life by a Southern sheriff in North Carolina.
I've heard of it. I've heard of the come to Jesus meeting, and I grew up in a rural area. We never actually had them. I've heard of them more in business since I've been an adult than I've heard in like us in town going, I'm going to have a come to Jesus meeting over there with old
Britt, it's one thing if I'm completely naive and I don't understand the code and I don't get what saying a prayer means. You're from here. Why didn't you pick up on that?
Well, because it's not an excuse either way. It's like, if you're a fucking sheriff, be a sheriff. That's what I expect you to do. I don't expect you to go and read Psalms and either question somebody, arrest somebody, or do something, but you don't go over there and do your Andy Taylor act, All
right, here you go. Herschel Walker speaking to Politico on Saturday. And they report that he was kind of confused as to which chamber of Congress he's hoping to serve. And he appeared to believe that his election would determine control of the Senate. He thinks it's still hanging in the balance there, which of course it is not. The Democrats will control it whether he wins or loses. We know that. Here's the quote. And this is just pathetic. They're not less motivated, referring to his voters, because they know right now that the House will be even. The House will be even. So they don't want to understand what is happening right now. You get the House, you get the committees. All right. So you can't pass that off as to one mistake because he said the word House twice, right? You get all the committees, they just stall things within there. So if we keep a check on Joe Biden, we just going to keep a check on him. End of quote.
Have you heard Herschel Walker make a sensible, coherent sentence? I can't think of a single time in the past, 6 months, that I've heard this man say, like, I would like tea. I don't think I've heard the man make a sensible subject, verb, object sentence at all. I don't think it's happened.
What a racist you are.
Well, as it turns out, he's running against a black guy who I've heard make many coherent, sensible sentences.
Broken clock twice a day there, Britt.
Please, if there is a God, and if Bobby Bootlick or whatever his name is down there in Moore County likes to pray, if you could just pray that this thing will be over in Georgia with no drama whatsoever, and they can go on with their lives, because this has been ridiculous.
There is some. I think the smoke signals are there right now for them throwing in the towel, for them maybe even already have had the talk with Herschel, saying, Herschel, it's not going to happen. And if you look at the front of Drudge right now, it's a great picture of Raphael Warnock taking a selfie, and it says Republican hopes fade in Georgia. Herschel on the ropes. And guess who's coming in virtually for a rally?
Trump.
Today. Yep. They wouldn't let him in physically.
Oh, here
but
it is.
He can't stay away. It's Trump. That's right. He's going to do a phone thing.
Here's the message I got.
Let's see.
Tuesday, we win Georgia. Are you with me? I've activated a 12 times impact on your gift. So this is Trump trying to get donations that will go into his pocket.
Wait. Okay, so if I give $100, where does the X11 to get to 12X? Where is the X11 coming from? Who is doing that? Is it coming out of Ivanka's 401k?
Yeah,
who's doing that money?
Oh, it's legitimate. I mean, there's nobody that makes money like Trump legitimately.
Britt, I'm surprised that Trump doesn't do 1,000X. You know,
again,
nobody's done more X's than I have.
As we all know, this is just money for him. None of this money. He's shaking the trees for any stupid Republicans that think that there's a last ditch effort that's going to help, and he's just going to put the money in his pocket.
Trump is doing a tele-rally for Herschel Walker tonight as we speak, Monday night.
God. Now, are you going to watch this on Newsfox or whatever channel it is you used to usually watch this stuff? Is this going to be televised?
Well, I don't know whether this is going to be video or just the phone, which I love it. Is it going to be one of those where somebody holds up a cell phone to a mic to hear him?
Yeah. This is as close as I like to get to black people. Just a phone. Just right here. Hey, put the phone back a couple of feet.
Yeah. All right. So we're sticking. And this is one time where we're not going to do I don't make predictions. I'm making a prediction on this one that this is going to be not nearly as close as I think. And you know, I'm sure they will get a lot of numbers really early in the evening. And I'm willing to bet that there will be places where they thought that Herschel Walker would have strength, that he's just not even getting the numbers that he got, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. And they'll be able to call this earlier than you would think, which of course is dangerous. You call a racer, that's it. That's the end of the world. But
Jesus,
I'm going with that prediction.
You're right. There are a lot of Republicans that are backing the fuck away from him, including that Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan is the guy's name in Georgia. He's like, this thing has the smell of shit all over it.
All right, let's do. It was announced, I guess yesterday or early today, that the Republicans are going to read the entire U.S. Constitution on day one when they take over the House.
To own the libs.
And so Britt, we never come to this show unarmed. We bring guns to knife fights here.
Yeah, we do.
And when was the last time that was done? The answer is in 2017.
Wow.
They did it in 2017. And that's funny when you think about it, because remember, that's, Trump is becoming the president there. He hasn't even been, like, the Congress is in place before the president is inaugurated in those years, right? Because it's like the first week of January, Congress is in, and then January 20th, the president is in. So maybe, just maybe, they suspected something back then that it might be a good idea to. It doesn't mean anything. It's usually a grand step. So when was it done before that? Answer is January 6th, 2011. 2011. Okay, so there's no election. That's right after the shellacking of the Democrats in the House race to Obama. So the Republicans take over, and so they're feeling their oats. So we'll read the fucking Constitution and shove it down your throat. This is the best part of it. They fucked it up. Okay, somebody skipped a page while they were reading it, so they missed Section 4 of Article 4. Yeah, and the reason apparently that they blew that, it's the part of the Constitution that talks about having to be born in the United States to be president. And we were still in the throes of birtherism. So isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that they decided to leave that part out while they were reading the whole Constitution?
I'm assuming they're going to skip the 19th Amendment when they read it this time around.
Well, and plus they're going to read the Second Amendment 55 times in a row.
55.
That's the only one that matters. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the titular head of the Republican Party calls for the termination of the Constitution. Only a few Republicans have said, it's a bad idea, Donald.
Yeah.
It's not a great idea. We shouldn't do that.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure why we're terminating the Constitution. I know all of this stemmed from Trump being upset about these explosive details released Friday night that Elon Musk and Matt Taibbi had about the Hunter Biden story being completely covered up by Twitter.
Well, this is, have you read his actual statement, his tweet about it?
I have not.
You need to do that, because essentially what he's saying is that because of the latest revelations that were released on Friday evening through Twitter, it proves absolutely that the 2020 election was rigged, that the vote was skewed, it was a plot, it was a conspiracy, and you only have two choices. You either install me right now as the president, or we do the election over again. Remember, those are the only two choices to get this right. So this is all just fantabulous stupidity, crazy shit. But
what is the mechanism for installing?
Thing is that you keep doing, and so then you add on to that. Then at this point we just got to blow up the Constitution, because clearly it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right.
Now here's my first view of this, which is, we've gone through 6-7 years of Trump saying crazy shit, and then we go, let's not take the bait. And then you go, well, but we have to talk about it because he's the president. If he says something, it's going to be in the water and we have to address it. And he's not the president anymore. No. But we're at the point where we know there are lots of people out in this country just sitting there with their hand up to their ear, waiting for the latest set of orders, whether they're explicit or whether they're more subtle, from Trump to do something. And getting rid of the Constitution, of course, it's just crazy shit. That doesn't work that way. It's not going to happen. But it doesn't matter, because once it's out there, it's out there. And the problem is that, and by the way, I think we can put to rest this whole idea that this isn't about Trump, that it's the whole Republican Party. By extension, it is, but he is a unique menace. He is a unique problem in American history. And,
he is.
It needs to be zeroed in on as far as that goes. And, now that we've had 3 days to look at Hunter Biden laptop gate, as it was not publicized appropriately enough by Twitter before the election, because enough people at Twitter early on went along with the idea that this could have been Russian disinformation, and they wanted to be careful about it. And then when they found out it wasn't Russian disinformation, they still decided, we're going to wait. We're going to wait for more of the facts to come in. And so in retrospect, maybe, but here's my question. Again, is fucking Twitter the only place on earth that information is disseminated to anyone ever? How did we find out about the moon landing without Twitter? It didn't exist, but somehow, in other words, the Hunter Biden story, it did exist. It was out there. You heard of it. I heard of it. I certainly thought it was bullshit.
Well, but wait a minute.
I didn't think it was bullshit because I didn't see it on Twitter.
Can you quantify to me what, again, for the average American, what is the Hunter Biden story? What is the Hunter Biden story as it pertains particularly to his laptop? As it pertains to his laptop.
As far as I can figure out, it is an attempt to link him to business interests around the world that were obtained because I'm Joe Biden's son. And therefore, somehow, if you start to connect the dots, Joe Biden somehow must be in on something. There's no evidence of that.
No.
No one has charged that Joe Biden has done anything wrong.
But if
but
you
that
just say
didn't matter. And Britt, you know, and I know, we all know what Donald Trump's game has been. He tried it with President Zelensky of Ukraine. He tried to fuck him over.
If you just say Hunter Biden like 100,000 times,
That's right.
That's all you need to do. Really.
That's exactly right. And look, is Twitter wholly innocent of not putting their thumb a little bit on the scale right before the election? They're not perfect. Twitter ain't so great. And by the way, it's a different ownership now. Not even the same guy is there anymore. But you know what? I'm going to do the worst thing you'll ever hear me do, which I'm going to play the ends justify the means. And I wrote about this the other day on Facebook. I said, if what Twitter did prevented the history books from writing about Donald Trump elected twice in 2016 and 2020, first because of 4 words, but her emails, and then the second time because of 2 words, Hunter Biden, then Twitter has done the world a favor, hasn't it? If you really believe that because they didn't put that story out there and enough people got depressed and would have sat home who were going to vote for Joe Biden because there must be something there. That was the Trump game.
It is also a backwards reaction to the butthurt emails from 2016. There's no question that's what this is.
And what does Trump ever do? He always tries to reproduce whatever worked for him in the past.
Right.
And this was an attempt to do that.
And by the way, the Hillary Clinton butthurt email story was nothing. It was
doesn't matter.
Absolute, complete, utter bullshit. But he was able to paste it on her, and everything happened. Now, ostensibly, what Twitter did was that there were some people concerned about a picture of Hunter Biden smoking crack showing his dick. That's what I understand. That's what I understand from the emails that I saw. There was someone, he had a picture of himself, and they didn't want that on Twitter. Basically, is what happened. So, again, Matt Taibbi, who used to be a pretty good journalist, has gone in concert with Elon Musk, and they served up the biggest nothing burger in the history of the world, essentially.
Yeah, no, it's just not a big enough deal, and there are enough people who have appeared even on Fox News, even Fox News people, who have said there's not that much there. Okay.
That was the disappointing. Even on the Tucker Carlson show, the folk hero of the Fox News crowd, they had people who have been investigating this story for years go, sorry, no smoking gun, no smoking Hunter Biden.
Well, and they thought that their silver bullet was a letter from Congressman Ro Khanna.
Yeah.
He's the congressman that represents Silicon Valley, Palo Alto area, and the rest. And he wrote a letter that you would have thought might have been written by, Jim Jordan or some other right winger, that he thought that Twitter really missed the mark here and was guilty of, quote, First Amendment violations. Now, he knows better that Twitter can't be guilty of First Amendment violations. It's the government that's protected.
It doesn't matter.
The people that are protected from the government with as far as the First Amendment. And
you just get to take
but
that
they're using that as proof. Well, see, if Ro Khanna says it must be bad. Or Twitter.
The right wingers get to just wave that. Aha! First Amendment, it's a Democrat. Ha gotcha! They get to say that over and over and over again.
Yeah. But it's just not going to go anywhere. It's not doing anything. And I'm fully confident that today, tomorrow, and next year, the United States Constitution will stand.
I'm with you, but we're still going to see a lot of bullshit investigations over Hunter Biden over the next year or two. Get ready for that.
You know what? I'm starting to wonder. They may have to check themselves on this, and here's why. Because when you look at the, how should we say it, fairly tepid response to what we just saw, there has to be somebody. It might even be, and I believe it may be, Newt Gingrich himself. He, the king of the bullshit investigation, overreach, end of career.
True story.
Okay. Who may grab these Republicans and tell them it's not worth it. It's not going to gain you anything. It's not going to work. Don't do it. So we'll see. I mean, you could be right, and they may just have no ability.
What was the first thing?
Self-govern themselves and not do this investigation shit. You're right.
The first press conference they had after it was announced that the Republicans were going to have control of the House. That was the first thing that those idiots did.
No, you're right, but that was before what we just saw. Sir, when the facts change, I change. What say you?
This is Benghazi. This is another Benghazi for them to wave around year after year, waste all kinds of money, and swear that there's something there when there's nothing there.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. This could be a Warner Brothers cartoon where they always keep running until the cliff runs out, and then they look, and then it just drops straight down.
What do you now? Currently, what do you think the chances are of Kevin McCarthy being Speaker of the House? Because I put them at I think 30% right now.
I don't know.
And they say they've got a silver bullet here. We've got a name. We're not going to announce it, but when we tell
you, so it's going to be like a reality show. I love that. Trump was really good at that, Britt.
Here's a hint. Here's a hint. You know, the Speaker of the House does not need to be a member of the House of Representatives. You know that.
Oh, stop with the Trump thing.
Hey, I'm sorry, but until further proven, somebody's going to put that name up for nomination, and somebody's going to vote for it.
There's no doubt about they'll put it up there.
And somebody will vote for it. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene is creaming in her jeans right now. Boebert, those idiots who are now running the show, by the way, they've got Kevin McCarthy dragging him around by the balls on Capitol Hill. They're going to put that name up for nomination and try to get people to vote for it. Oh, the food fight will be delicious. It's going to be really, really good.
All right. Planet Earth versus Ticketmaster, or the end of airplane mode.
Let's do the Ticketmaster story. Boy, Taylor Swift seems to have blown the lid off of this whole thing at Ticketmaster, doesn't she? She really.
This morning I went online and I bought a couple of tickets. This is next April for Jane and I to see Bill Maher. I've seen him for about 5 years.
Yes,
I'm okay. He does a great show.
Very good.
And he does. Yeah, he talks about stuff that isn't. It's not just like the TV show from the night before.
No.
This is on a Sunday night, so he's pretty good. Anyway, so the tickets ended up being like $89 each. They're pretty good. But I did notice, and I don't buy that many tickets, but you look at the schematic of the seats there. This is in Durham, and it shows you which seats are already bought up, and then there's another color that indicates seats that have been bought essentially by scalpers.
Yeah, this is secondary market,
right? And this is the weird part. I mean, I bought 2 tickets for $89. With a service charge, it was $850. Always reasonable. I think it was like $214 or something after that. And right next to me, and right behind me, were some of these different colored icons, and I clicked on them, and those seats were already $230 each. So I guess the deal here is that people are buying even Bill Maher tickets early, and they think that over time, when there's a sellout, that they will have made a good investment, and people who decide to go, in March or April, because people aren't thinking about this now, it's a long time from now, they'll be able to double their money for the, and I don't they have a limit on how many seats you can buy?
Here's the fun. Well,
mine was 4. It said 4 when I was trying to buy mine.
Here's the fun part. Who controls the secondary market? If you guess Ticketmaster, you would be correct. They get a piece of that too.
Actually, Brad. I'm glad to hear that, because I thought you were going to say the Jews.
Well, via Ticketmaster, yes, but no, it's Ticketmaster also fucks you on the secondary market too.
Oh, so don't worry. These aren't individuals in mom's basement who
Correct.
do that. They are constraining on
Correct.
purpose
That's right.
the number of the regular price tickets.
That's correct.
Even early on, even 2 days after they announced that the concert was going to happen.
And sometimes based on demand, it works out for them, and sometimes it does not. But that's what they do, and they have been doing it for a while.
All right, so here's the lawsuit from the Swifties, the Taylor Swift fans, against Ticketmaster and their parent, Live Nation. They allege fraud, price fixing, and antitrust violations. Well, yeah, there's that. They allege the Ticketmaster engaged in intentional deception that allowed scalpers to buy most of the tickets that went on sale last month.
Mm-hmm.
That way, the company collect even more fees on resold tickets. That sounds just like what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. That sounds just like what you said.
So once in a while, I know what I'm talking about.
2 dozen fans have joined in the lawsuit. 150 want to join in. And here's the best line. They messed with the wrong fan base. One of the attorneys for the plaintiffs told the Washington Post, which, of course, that probably makes you even more angry that my daughter Stephanie was able to buy about 12 tickets at face value around the country, 3 different places.
As it turns out, I don't have anger toward your daughter. No,
yes, you do.
I do not. I'm happy, and if she's able to resell some of those and make some money,
would you like to buy some? I have some.
I don't. I'm okay with whatever.
Nashville, L.A., or Chicago. Got 3 places. We have people in Congress who are in on this, of course. We have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Amy Klobuchar, senator, and Mike Lee, Republican senator from Utah. They have said that the monopoly the Ticketmaster has on the ticket-selling business needs greater scrutiny in the wake of the Taylor Swift crisis. And it's a crisis. It's not just chaos. It's a crisis for people.
You can't, if you want to buy tickets to a concert and it's going to be at, the venue in your town. In fact, sometimes it's 2 or 3 venues in your town. You can't, that's a roadblock. You can't go anywhere else. I mean, it's preposterous. And it's been that way in towns across America. I don't care whether it's New York. I don't care whether it's Poughkeepsie. And it's bullshit. It's been that way I'm glad this is being exposed, but this has been a problem for a long time. If somebody wanted to, as we say in America, pull themselves up by their bootstraps, get some investors together and try to compete with Ticketmaster, they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it.
I'm trying to think what is the legal remedy here that might be proposed. And I haven't read anything about this. I mean, can you see a solution here that says that, and this would have to be imposed kind of from the top down, from the courts. I can't see this happening where they say to all of these private businesses, which of course that's always kind of a phony dodge because these are private businesses that deal with the public. So they have an obligation, above and beyond, to say, if you have 10,000 tickets that need to be sold for a show, there have to be 4 companies and each of them get 2,500. I can't see them doing anything like that. And what are they going to create a government ticket entity to make it? It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to work.
It's a massive class action settlement. Everybody who ever bought a ticket in the past 20 years in America gets $4.18. It's one of those situations.
That's even more phony, right?
I mean, they have, but they shouldn't be allowed to do what they do. And there should be heavy regulations on this company. And they're just going nuts. They're just going absolutely crazy.
Well, I think the first level is going to be to split Ticketmaster
from
the Live Nation concert people.
Yeah.
That was a bad idea.
Right.
I mean, it was a great idea in the boardroom there.
Sure.
It's a great idea. This is the best ever.
But for the consumer, not such a great idea.
Yeah.
For the people who are actually buying the tickets, it really kind of sucks, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. So we'll follow that one. All right. And one last thing here. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
The end of airplane mode so ubiquitous that it's on everybody's phone, right? You're supposed to put that on when you fly, because if you don't, right, you'll crash the plane, right? There will be no communication between the pilot and the tower, and you'll kill the radar. The plane will crash if you don't have it in airplane mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Europe, gone, no more. As of June 23, according to the BBC, you will be able to use your phone however you want to. You can stream video. You can make phone calls. You can do anything you want. And they say that's because of 5G technology. That makes the longstanding fear of passengers' phones somehow interfering with the plane systems obsolete. So how many decades you think that'll take for that to occur in the United States? Because clearly it makes complete sense. But there's one person who has an old flip phone, and that could still bring the plane. There'll be some fucking reason why we can't do the most logical thing.
Accurate,
right?
That's accurate.
And by the way, let's just pretend for 1 second that for the last 25 years of people having mobile phones, that everyone has always obeyed the rules and put their phones into airplane mode. Thus, no crash has ever occurred that it's even hinted was the result of someone using a phone, because no one would ever do that.
Right.
We're a bunch of law-abiding citizens. All right. So that's a lie. So here's what that means. That means for all these years, it never was a thing. It never was going to crash the planes. It never was. And we'll see how long it takes for us to catch up with Europe on that. They've always been a little bit ahead of us. In fact, well ahead of us on
everything,
on the internet and on mobile phones, or the whole thing. Much better than us. But, that's that. All right. We caused some trouble. Now, Britt, have you voted in the Georgia race yet? Have you driven over across the state line?
I'm going to a drag. I'm going to a drag show first, and I'm headed right there.
Okay. Tomorrow on the next Brad and Britt cast, I will tell you about a conversation I had with a good friend of mine over the weekend, who told me he had not one, but 2 encounters with Herschel Walker.
Oh, Jesus, really?
On airplanes.
Oh, Jesus.
Not recently, but just over the last 15 years.
Good.
You fly enough, sometimes you just run into the same kind of people.
Jeez. You get the Jimmy Johnson book Swagger for Christmas, and you can find out how Herschel Walker helped build the Cowboys dynasty of the 90s. If you want to grab that thing.
Oh, I'm in on that. We'll see you tomorrow.
I won't even forgive him for that.